What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Surprise Jab Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Kruger, surprising new topics every single weekend, jabbing you with your daily dose of UFC, and we are fresh off of a Thanksgiving break. For some people, not me, I had Thanksgiving off. It was very lovely. I was able to see my family, but I did work the Wednesday before, the Friday after, and the Saturday after, and I actually did not go to bed last night as I was out having fun, and events turned to chaos, and I ended up not having a place to sleep. So I've been running on, I took a little mini nap on the train, about an hour's rest over the last 48 hours. But we're still powering through this, a brand new week, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. First and foremost, UFC 324. We have gotten announcements on UFC 324. We're going to be talking about all the matchups that have been announced so far for the first pay-per-view in the UFC Paramount Plus era. As well, we're going to be reviewing Survivor Series WarGames San Diego. That's right, the, I guess, final WWE PLE, besides whatever the John Cena retirement thing is considered. But yeah, this was technically the fourth biggest, PLE of the year for the WWE. Did it live up to the potential? I'll be giving my thoughts. As well, we're going to be discussing NFL Week number 13 and the current playoff picture as we get into this final stretch heading into December. And then lastly, I will be looking at the last two events for the UFC coming in here, UFC 323 and UFC Vegas 112. So starting things off, I think it was one of the weirdest announcements, big announcements. It's like Dana White's going to be announcing new matchups for, he's going to be announcing the UFC 324 card on the halftime show of the Thanksgiving game between the Chiefs and the Cowboys, and you don't want to miss it. And it was legit like a 30-second ad, and stuff just flashed up here. But we, as of right now, have 8 matchups that are going to be on this card. So I'll read off the 8 here. Now, by the way, some people are thinking like it might only be 8, which would be insane. I don't know if there's going to be like a new system when it comes to having not as many bout orders or whatever it is, but with what I have now, this is the fights we have for UFC 324, which is going down in Las Vegas, January 24th, 2026. And starting us off, we have a little matchup in the men's middleweight division, and this will be between Ateba Gaudier and Andre Puliev. Now, Ateba Gaudier might have potential for being Rookie of the Year. There's a lot of people that debuted in 2025, but he came in, landed 3 round 1 knockouts, all under 3.5 minutes, 2 under 2 minutes, and really looked good. In March, he was able to knock out Jose Daniel Medina with a nasty knee. In July, he was able to knock out Robert Valentine, and he knocked out Tristan Vines in 1:41 back at UFC 320. This is a layup for him against Andre Puliev. Andre has not had much success in the UFC. He is 1-1, but to some surprise, he actually did land a knockout in August of this year on a UFC Apex card. He'd gotten out grappled in round 1, but fought back and landed some nice body kicks in round 2 and was able to get a TKO. So I will say this is a step up for Ateba Gaudier, who, by the way, is only 23 years old. So he'll be taking on Andre, who is 5 years older than him. So still in his 20s as well. But it should be interesting to see if Ateba can get past Andre Puliev. I do think he will. I do think they're setting him up for a nasty knockout, and he could be in for a big 2026, especially if he wins to start the year. Next up, as of right now, this is going to be on the prelims, which is utterly insane. But we have the number 1 ranked bantamweight Umar Nurmagomedov taking on the number 6 ranked Deiveson Figueiredo. Now, obviously, bout orders can change, but as of right now, this is the second fight in on this card. Umar is coming off a wonderful bounce-back win against Mario Bautista, landed 11 takedowns, got knocked down, and still managed to win that round. I mean, he's an absolute animal. He's 19-1, and the fact that he wanted a title shot, but also said, I'll fight A1, I'll do whatever it takes to get back to that title, really shows me that he truly means it. And especially with the Deiveson Figueiredo fight here, is a perfect fight to make. Deiveson, it was a rough 2025 for Deiveson Figueiredo. He did remain in the top 10 for the men's bantamweight division, and being ranked number 6, also very good. But his last 4 wins, at bantamweight, his entire bantamweight career since December of 2023 has been Rob Font, Cody Garbrandt, Marlon Vera, all kind of on their way out. Of course, he ended 2024 with that decision loss in the main event in Shanghai to Petr Yan, and then he had a main event in Iowa got beat up by Corey Sandhagen, leading to an injury TKO, and then won a split decision against Montel Jackson in Brazil, which some people were like, oh, he didn't win that, and I thought he won it, and I thought that if Montel wasn't going to look as impressive as he did, he shouldn't get a close split decision nod. So, Devson Figueiredo, Umar Nurmagomedov, I think this is another stepping stone for Umar, collecting another name on the resume, and this is just going to be so high level. The grappling here is going to be crazy, and I just think you have to watch out for the power of Devson Figueiredo. I mean, if you didn't know, Devson Figueiredo is the first man, and as of right now, I think the only man to ever knock down Marlon Vera, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. So that is the second fight in on this card, and just lets you know how big they are making this. Next up, heavyweight action. This one's surprising to me. This one is surprising. The number 6 ranked, now number 5, I forgot he moved up one, Waldo Cortez Acosta will be taking on the number 8th ranked Derek Lewis. And this is going to be on the prelims as of right now. I know they're going to change this. I know this is not actually probably going to be on the prelims, but Salsa Boy, Waldo Cortez Acosta, easily the best heavyweight of 2025 by a long shot. This man fought 5 times and advocated to fight and to end out December. They couldn't get him a fight on the 6th or the 13th, so they're like, hey, how about you get on the first pay-per-view for the year? And he's like, heck yes. For the year, 4-1, only loss was a close decision to Sergey Pavlovich. He also ended out in November with 2 round 1 knockouts, both gained a $50K performance bonus in them. I mean, just amazing work from Waldo Cortez Acosta. It's such a great year for him. And Derek Lewis, he offers a great challenge. And Derek has unfortunately only fought once the last 2 years, or once each year the last 2 years. Now, mind you, both knockouts, both main events, and his knockout of Talishon Teixeira was so satisfying back in July. But it's going to be tough to tell what you get here, because this is just, it can go 2 ways. One way is Waldo Cortez Acosta distance strikes or is able to maybe even like TKO Derek Lewis, or Derek Lewis one-shots him and knocks him out. Simple as that. So I think it's fun. The surprise comes from the fact that Waldo is more entitled to be fighting upwards against the number 4 ranked Curtis Blades, against the number 2 ranked Alexander Volkov, as opposed to fighting down against the Derek Lewis. But he took this fight. I'm happy to see Derek Lewis again, and it should bring excitement no matter what goes down. Next up, and this one is just phenomenal here, as for the first time in, it's going to be close to 2 years, Arnold Allen, the number 6 ranked men's featherweight, is finally fighting. I mean, he hasn't fought since July of 2024, for goodness sakes. And who are they feeding him to? The number 11th ranked Gene Silva. Oh yeah, Gene Lord Silva back in action. And yeah, like I said, Arnold Allen has just been inactive, couldn't get a fight to save his life. He is coming off a win over Giga Chikadze, but he hasn't even been linked to a fight. Like, there's no cancellations. He just hasn't been able to get a fight for some reason. And as for Gene Silva, he had an insane 2025. I mean, just a roller coaster of emotions. Starts out the year knocking out Melsik Bagdasaryan in Seattle. Then goes out and submits Bryce Mitchell on UFC 314, one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. Then gets a main event against Diego Lopez. And right when it's looking like he has him on the ropes, he just leaves his chin open, gets caught with a spinning elbow, and then is TKO'd. So a little bit of humble pie for Gene Silva, but he's 16-3. This man joined the UFC in January of 2024 and is 5-1 with 5 finishes. So that tells me all I need to know about the abilities of him here, and I think he's going to finish Arnold Allen. I can't speak for Arnold Allen, but watching his last few fights, and mind you, the inactivity really hurts. I mean, the guy has won 1 fight since 2022. 1 fight since 2022, and that was in 2024 against Giga Chikadze. So his other losses, Mozvarevlov and Max Holloway. So let's not act like he has bad losses in between there, but he's just inactive, and when you're facing a guy like Gene Silva, he's going to catch a chin that's not used to being hit, and he's going to put your lights out. Next up, currently on the main card, but I do believe this will get bumped to the prelims, women's flyweight division, and this is a high-level matchup. We don't even need to understate that this is 2 former champions, as the number 3 ranked Alexa Grasso is taking on the number 6 ranked Rose Namajunas. Super fun, super exciting. Alexa Grasso is kind of on the roughs patch. You may not believe it, but Alexa Grasso hasn't officially won a fight since March 2023. That's when she upset Valentina Shevchenko. ended 2024, getting, of course, destroyed by Valentina in their third and final match, and then fought Natalia Silva at UFC 315 this year and got outpaced on the scorecard. So we'll see if she's able to bounce back here. She takes on Rose Namajunas. I believe she will. I definitely think that she can get past Rose here. Rose had one fight in 2025, and it was a lackluster decision over Miranda Maverick. I mean, nothing exciting whatsoever. So there's a fight. It's going to be going down, and it's between two former world champions. So can't beat that. Then let's get into the big three on this card easily. First up, bantamweight Sean O'Malley is finally back. And oh my goodness, they're giving him a good opponent here as the number 2 ranked Sean O'Malley takes on the number 5 ranked Song Yadong. I've missed Song Yadong. I really have, Song Yadong hasn't fought since Seattle when he beat Henry Cejudo. That was a weird fight. I don't even know what to make of that. But other than that, his only losses since 2022 are Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen. So it tells me all I need to know. He's won multiple main events, actually. His last 3 wins were main events. I've forgotten about that. And he also has some great knockouts of Julio Arce, Marlon Moraes, Alejandro Perez, Felipe Arantas. I mean, he is, a really talented person. But it has been a while since we've been able to see Song Yadong. But same kind of goes for Sean O'Malley. He was gifted a rematch in June against Merab and looked worse than he did in the first fight, and he even got finished by guillotine choke in round number 3. So this is a massive bounce-back fight for both guys. Clearly the striking goes to Sean O'Malley, but they're both good strikers. I think where you see a mix-up here is when Song Yadong starts shooting for takedowns, and we're going to see if Sean O'Malley can defend them, but should be exciting. Right now, probably just going to have to go with Sean. I do think when I think about this, the lankiness of Sean will play to his advantage. And when I look at the last few people Song Yadong has fought, Henry Cejudo, Petr Yan, Chris Gutierrez, Ricky Simone, kind of smaller guys. The last tall, lanky guy he fought that beat him like that, Corey Sandhagen. So tells me all I need to see there, but I do like both of them. We'll have to see what I'm thinking more so when this matchup actually takes place. Then the co-main event of the evening is a massive event, this is a massive event, massive matchup, as literally the GOAT, Amanda Nunes, is coming out of retirement. That's right, Amanda Nunes is coming out of retirement to challenge Kayla Harrison. And hey, this was a fight that people had wanted when she was still in the UFC and when Kayla was in PFL, and then when she came over, of course, Amanda retired, but now we're looking to get it going, and Kayla Harrison, she's 19-1. She recently won the belt from Juliana Pena. She's only had 3 fights in the UFC since April of 2024. Wins over Holly Holmes, Ketlin Vieira, and Juliana Pena. So she's been dominant. It should be exciting. I hate to say it, but the best for business decision is probably for Kayla Harrison to win here, because Amanda Nunes, this really strikes me as a one-off. It really does, unless after this we have Valentina go up to women's bantamweight, and we have those two, have a trilogy matchup. Like, there's lots of options you can do here, but with Amanda Nunes, she's not coming back to be a reigning defending champion. This is like a GSP situation when he came back to fight Bisping. Simple as that. And Nunes, she hasn't fought since June of 2023, so it's going to be a 2.5-year layoff for her, which is just a long time to not be fighting. Amanda Nunes did destroy Ariel Aldana. That's actually one of the worst UFC main events of all time. UFC 289, it's so boring. It looks like Ariel Aldana's just scared, and Amanda Nunes then for some reason can't finish her. Kind of a mess, but going to be fun. I will be actively rooting for Kayla Harrison. And here's the thing, Amanda Nunes can lose here, and she's still to go. So winning, it obviously adds more to her legacy, but it doesn't do enough where it's okay, now we know she's the GOAT. No, it's obvious that it goes Amanda Nunes, Valentina Shevchenko, Zhang Weili, and if we do see Kayla Harrison win here, she's throwing her name into the mix. But even right now, I'd say she's in the top 5 greatest women's mixed martial artists. You can maybe throw Ronda Rousey up in there, but definitely Kayla Harrison, if she wins this, is in the mix. Then, the main event, and you remember, guys, when Justin Gaethje said, I will not fight in the UFC again unless it's for a title. And lo and behold, what do we have here? What we do every time Justin Gaethje makes such a stupid demand, we create an interim title. And the interim title matchup, the main event of UFC 324, is the number 4 ranked Justin Gaethje versus the number 5 ranked Paddy Pimblett. First off, how did Paddy Pimblett get ranked at number 5? How have we just been moving him up slowly and slowly and slowly? I think it was, when he won, he was kind of like, I think number 9, maybe number 8. Then it was when Tuce Gamrot lost. And we're like, okay, we'll boost him up. Then Dan Hooker lost. We're like, okay, we'll boost him up. And that's like, oh, now he's ranked number 5. How did he get up here? But this is an exciting matchup. I mean, as far as like size-wise go, these two are fairly similar. Just even like reading the tail of the tape for these guys, 26-5 record for Justin Gaethje professionally, 23-3 for Paddy, 5'11" to 5'10", 70-inch reach to 73-inch reach, orthodox stance. The one big thing I'm noticing here is the 7-year age gap, if that even applies to anything. But Justin Gaethje, look, he's been fighting once a year the last 2 years. He obviously fought Max Holloway, knocked out, came back in March, was originally supposed to fight, I'm trying to think of who it was. I think he was supposed to be fighting Dan Hooker. I think he was supposed to fight Dan Hooker, and instead Fiziev stepped in, and he beat Fiziev, which, by the way, was another fight of the night. But, a win over Fiziev isn't going to get you a title shot. Yet in this case, he's somehow getting a title shot, which is kind of, blasphemy to me. But in terms of Paddy Pimblett, look, he's exciting. He's fun. He's coming to the UFC. He's 7-0. His win over Michael Chandler was dominant and really showed a different edge to him. And, yeah, he's been honestly incredible so far in the UFC. Now, I think when it comes to this matchup, how does it go? Well, I honestly think this is a layup for Paddy Pimblett to win the interim belt, finally get a name on his record where people will go, he's a legit name, because, right now, Paddy Pimblett, his last 3 wins were all guys on losing streaks. So people are going to use that to discredit him. And what I think that Paddy has to do is he has to come in here and he really has to take it to Justin Gaethje. And when Justin Gaethje struggles, it's when the fight's being brought to him. Think about the Max Holloway fight. When he was struggling in that fight, it's because Max Holloway was pushing the pace. Max Holloway was up in his face. But then when he would lean forward and go after Max Holloway, he would have success. So, simple as that. I'm going to be going with Paddy Pimblett. It's such a random main event. It's also funny how you can put an interim title over a women's title fight. I kind of love that logic. But, yeah, there is word that Yuta Pira will not be fighting until the halfway point of the year, which just sucks. The inactivity sucks with some of these champions. And I'm seeing like Hamzat and Islam, and none of these guys are fighting in the first quarter of the year. So some people you're going to want to be watching out for. Definitely, I'll be talking about this in a second, but Pantoja and Merab, I think they're going to retain. Like, I can just tell you that outright. And I think you could even see them getting another sneaky title defense in March or April. For Volkanovski, they're definitely going to get him in end of January, I think. There's actually word that him versus Diego Lopez is the fight they're going with, which makes no sense since you have Leron Murphy and Mozrevlov right there, but okay. You're also probably going to be seeing Alex Pereira fight news. Apparently, they're just going to have him fight Carlos Ulberg maybe, which, okay. And the heavyweight division is apparently not looking good, as apparently whatever happened to Tom Aspinall's eye is so bad that he may never fight again. So, and we don't really have like an interim. Like, if we were to do an interim title fight, who would it be? Cyril Gane versus Curtis Blades? Like, I don't even know, guys. So, start of the year, we do know about UFC 324 and all the fights I announced, but other than that, we'll just ride out 2025 and see where the new year takes us. And I'll be saying the same thing for WWE as well, as Survivor Series has wrapped up. We're all done with Survivor Series, and it came, it went, and there is just this sentiment where these events are promoted big. They have this big fight feel, but they are just falling a tinge flat for some reason. Now, one of the things I'll say is that this was in a arena which was just too big, okay? Petco Park in San Diego, California can fit almost 50,000 people in there. I think the attendance attendance for this was like 46,000 people. And you have a odd, just L-shaped ramp. You remove the shark cages for the Survivor Series WarGames match, if you know what I'm talking about. And the entire premise of WarGames is it's this match where there's a giant cage where there's 2 rings and the cage surrounds the rings. Okay? And it's really obstructive. It's obstructive. I've been to Elimination Chamber, back in 2014, over a decade ago. Little Zachary went there with his family, and it's a whole different perspective because you realize when you're watching on TV, there's cameramen actually in there. There's cameramen getting up close, and that's how you get the cool shots. In person, it's a different experience. So I definitely think that's an aspect they may need to change. So we'll see what they do there. But overall, the crowd seemed to be into it. I heard from some people that were there that maybe the crowd wasn't as loud as they were hoping. But in terms of the matches, we started off with the women's WarGames match. AJ Lee, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley defeating the heel team of Becky Lynch, Lash Legend, Nia Jax, and the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. 41 minutes and 10 seconds. It was actually a minute and 40 seconds longer than the men's WarGames match. How about that? But I saw a couple good spots here. There was one where I think it was, I want to say Io Sky, put herself in a trash can and did a swanton bomb. I saw there was, some cool finishes. AJ Lee hit her submission on Becky Lynch to win the match. But there was also a lot of sloppiness in here, and there's just a sentiment with the women's WarGames where there's no real storyline here. At the end of the day, the only storyline we got out of this is the Becky Lynch and AJ Lee storyline. So I don't know where that's going to go, if it's going to be a WrestleMania match, but the fact that AJ Lee keeps submitting Becky Lynch leads me to believe that Becky Lynch is going to win that feud, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. So, I mean, overall, decent, but every year, the Women's WarGames matches, there's no need for them. They just do it because since the men have a match, the women have to have a match. Simple as that. Oh, the women have a Royal Rumble because the men do. Women Money in the Bank because the men do. Okay, that's how it goes. Oh, men have mid-card championships. Why don't the women? Oh, now the women can have it. And for the WarGames match, it's just one of those things where we don't need it. We don't need it. But I will say there were good moments in here. They did the best they could, and I always give them a benefit of the doubt. And hey, you have so much star power in this matchup. You have Nia Jax, Asuka, Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, AJ Lee, all former women's world champions. Let's not act like we don't have the heavy hitters of the women's division all wrestling here. So that was all right. It was good. I'll just say, it's kind of like you're watching it as the opener, and you're kind of like, alrighty, there's a reason this is going on first. So, moving on from that, we had the last John Cena match on a PLE, on a WWE PLE. It's crazy. It's crazy because his final event isn't really a PLE. It's kind of, like his own retirement event. But in this matchup, 16 minutes and 40 seconds, of course, Dominic Mysterio defeats him to win back his championship. And it was a very odd match. Very odd match, littered with run-ins. You had Finn Balor, JD McDonough, you had Rockwell Rodriguez, you had Roxanne Perez, and they were all hitting their finishers on John Cena, and then John Cena was going Super Cena and hit a double AA holding up Finn Balor and JD McDonough, and then Liv Morgan returned, and you thought she was going to, side with John Cena. Obviously not. She gives him a low blow. Little callback to when he turned heel on Cody Rhodes earlier in the year, and yeah, Dominic Mysterio hits a little frog splash, and he wins. So, it's just, it's kind of odd, because this doesn't necessarily put over Dominic Mysterio to an extent, because, no one's wanted that. No, everyone knows, John Cena, whoever beats him, good for you, but we just want John Cena to win and be happy. And now that we know that one of the four, we know the four people that will be John Cena's final opponent, it's either going to be LA Knight, Jey Uso, Solo Sikoa, or Gunther. And, you kind of look at those names and you're like, one of these people are going to retire John Cena? Obviously, it's not going to be LA Knight. Obviously, it's not going to be Solo Sikoa. It's going to come down to Jey Uso and Gunther, which is utterly crazy. And I don't think they're crazy enough to have it be Jey Uso. But also, I also could see WWE being that crazy. I also see a world where, Gunther wins the tournament, and then something happens and he gets injured, and we get this fan service of actually having, Edge return or CM Punk, or, I don't know, that's just wishful thinking. Chris Jericho being the final opponent for John Cena, that would be cool. But in terms of this matchup, look, it was fun. It was all right. It went a good, decent amount of time, and whatever amount I can see of John Cena before he goes, that's enough for me. But yeah, when you guys are listening to this, it'll be December 1st. And John Cena's final professional wrestling match is December 13th. And, I know a lot of people when they're like, oh, Hogan retired and he always came back. Oh, Austin retired and he always came back. Oh, Ric Flair retired and always came back. Same with The Rock. But there's just something with John Cena here where, no one's ever done this, where it's the entire main storyline in 2025 was the John Cena retirement tour. And I just don't see him going back in his word. Just don't really see that. So Dominic Mysterio wins. We'll see what he does heading into the new year. There are tons of feuds for him. I think, if anything, I'm waiting for a Finn Balor heel turn. I think Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio need their own little feud to go over things. And I want Finn Balor to win, if I'm being honest. Second and last matchup of the evening, the singles match for the Women's World Championship. Stephanie McMahon defeats Nikki Bella. Is anyone surprised? No. No, not at all. 12 minutes and 20 seconds is all it had. And, it was all right. It was all right. I will say it was better than the WrestlePalooza match Nikki Bella had with Becky Lynch. I'll say that for certain. But, yeah, hits her finisher, wins the matchup, and, good on you, Stephanie McMahon. It's crazy the star that Stephanie McMahon has become this year. I mean, she came into NXT in January, and is now going to end the year as your Women's World Champion, which is just awesome. Really is awesome. As for Nikki Bella, she's not even putting over talent. If anything, you're kind of like, why is Nikki Bella getting opportunities? Why? What is she doing, and how is she getting these opportunities? So, I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all, but I mean, it's just kind of whatever. I think, if anything, we're waiting for Stephanie McMahon to have a little feud with Liv Morgan. Looking at some of the women in the matchup today, Stephanie McMahon versus Becky Lynch would be fun, versus Asuka, versus, I don't even know. There's tons of women out there. So we'll see what's next for Stephanie heading into the new year, but something tells me she's going to be holding on to this belt until WrestleMania. I just get that sneaky suspicion. And there's even one feud that I want to throw out there, Tiffany Stratton versus Stephanie McMahon. I think we need a heel Tiffany Stratton. That's what we need. So, yeah, good work on Stephanie McMahon defeating Nikki Bella, and I'm not going to hate because it wasn't that bad of a matchup. With that, we got into the main event. It was The Vision, Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar defeating CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso, and Roman Reigns. It's actually crazy, because I went 4 for 4 on my predictions, which I'm always happy to do when I'm predicting anything in any endeavor of sports or entertainment. And in terms of this matchup, it was exciting. It was fun. Obviously it's just a star power fest, but it's hard not to like it. Alrighty, and one of my favorite things is that there's a certain logic with matches. So the entire premise of WarGames is that everyone comes out one by one. You start out like, I can't even remember who opened this matchup, but it might have been CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, and those two open it up. And then you have Logan Paul or Bronson Reed run out, and they join, and that's a 2v1, and then Jey Uso would come out, and then, it's going, till eventually all 5 people are in for each team, and there's 10 people in the 2 rings in the cage, all going at it. But there's a rule, and there's a rule that was literally said on the broadcast by WWE that if anyone leaves the cage after already entering it, their team will be forfeited. And what happens when the final entrant is Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar knows that? He just leaves the cage and waits for him, and no one bats an eye. I mean, I know that it's, I know it's fake. Like, trust me, I'm not defending the fakeness of it. I'm just saying, like, it's so funny when we create logic. Like, we don't need to say that's a rule. We don't, but when you say it's a rule and then they break it and you don't mention it, it's just kind of comedic. But the number of spots in this match were absolutely insane. I mean, there were a lot of good ones. Jey Uso and Jimmy Uso just cleaning house. There was this hilarious moment where Jey Uso just went on a run, just taking everyone out, and then he just got on top of the cage and started doing his yeeting and doing his entrance music, and then Brock Lesnar's music hit, and when he came out, everyone meant business, and then he was cleaning house, and the bumps that everyone was taking in this was just gnarly. I mean, I'll say in terms of in-ring action, just amazing. And then easily my favorite moment was when Roman Reigns came out, and Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar squared up on the entrance ramp. Oh man, and Roman Reigns kept locking and loading for the Superman punch. It was so exciting. Oh my gosh, it got me all fired up, if I'm being honest. And then once everyone got in, everything was going well, and then we overbooked for no reason. Like, the heels could have just won. There was no need for it, but a masked man, all dressed in black, jumps in, does a little super kick to the face of CM Punk, hits him with a curb stomp. Oh, what do you know? Seth Rollins finisher, then leaves. Then what happens? Braun Breaker hits his spear, pins CM Punk, and the Vision wins. So there's just no need for it. And obviously it's not Seth Rollins. I see a lot of people saying it's Austin Theory. That would be cool. I hope we actually learn about that on Monday Night Raw, and I hope we add members to the vision. But in terms of this team, look, Brock Lesnar is just an anomaly. Brock Lesnar is going to be associated with a number of things. I'm hearing word that's either going to be him versus Gunther or him versus Braun Breaker at WrestleMania. There's other people saying they might run Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. Like, there's unlimited things you can do with Brock Lesnar. Now, in terms of whoever that other member is, like, that's going to be a key member of the vision. Because I'm thinking Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre, this is just a one-off. This is just heels gathering together to take on the biggest baby faces. But something I do want to point out is you had your World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk, your WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, one of the most over wrestlers, like especially in arena, and then the biggest star in WWE, Roman Reigns, all lose on the same team, which is just kind of crazy when we think about that. Now, after the match, you kind of see that, like, Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, like, CM Punk was shaking hands with both of them, and then they were like, we're never teaming together again. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. So I don't know what they're teasing, but from reports, they might be running Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns as the official main event of WrestleMania 42. And for night one, it might be CM Punk versus Braun Breaker. Now, obviously, if that is the case, Braun Breaker's winning. And if it's the case with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes is winning. It's obviously the case. So I'll be very interested to see where WWE goes heading into the new year. But this match was fine. A lot of fun moments. The overbookingness is just not necessary. And I think at the end of the day, when it was over, we were all just kind of like, did this really further anything? Did this set anything back, or was it just kind of there? And did it happen? And I think that was what it was. It just happened. And I think next year they got to get back to the Raw versus SmackDown, or even just like two teams, like elimination match, because WarGames has gotten old. All right. If anything, I want to see WarGames go back to NXT, because every single NXT WarGames match is better than the main roster matchups. So Survivor Series, it's easily like a 6 out of 10, 5 out of 10 pay-per-view. Mediocre, kind of average. And if anything, I think ESPN is getting shafted with the fact they're paying for these. So that's all we got in terms of PLEs for the year. The next time I discuss WWE will be the week before, December 13th. That's going to be a very fun episode, as we're going to be discussing all the matchups going down on John Cena's final retirement tour. Actually, as we get closer, I will be discussing who his current final opponents could possibly be, because as of right now, it's Jey Uso versus LA Knight and Gunther versus Solo Sikoa. The winners of that will wrestle each other, and I think it's pretty obvious Jey Uso and Gunther are going to win those. So that's all we got for Survivor Series. The next time we discuss WWE, it will be all about John Cena. And I love John Cena, if you weren't aware. My childhood hero, and he's retiring, but I'll get to watch him in Hollywood, so all is good. With that, we will jump into a little review of NFL Week 13. A lot of important stuff has gone down, and the entire league is getting shaken up here. So just to check in with what has taken place so far, Thanksgiving, fun time. Thanksgiving was a great time. Packers beat the Lions, which I wasn't too thrilled about. Cowboys beat the Chiefs in yet another Cowboys upset. And the Bengals, with a little Joe Burrow return, knock out the Ravens. So what does that all mean in terms of rankings and such? Well, some of these rankings are still being rolled out right now, as games have, not officially been finished. Or no, I think all the games are finished right now. It's just a matter of Google updating their actual rankings. So what I could do is I could actually just go on the NFL playoff picture, which would make it really easier. But in terms of the Thanksgiving games, pretty entertaining. I always watch every single game on Thanksgiving. And I'll say the Packers and Lions did come down to the wire, but that did come down to the Packers just keeping possession of the ball. And same thing happened to the Cowboys and Chiefs. Cowboys just ended up keeping possession of the ball. And then Bengals and Ravens, it was really just the Bengals blowing out the Ravens. Like, who was this Bengals team? Where have they been all year? Because I don't even recognize this team. So, current playoff, actually, we'll go through all the matchups quickly. Then I'll look at the current playoff slate right now. But in terms of rankings for these teams, the Packers are, of course, your number 2 team in the NFC North with a little 8-3-1 record. And as for the Lions, they're 7-5, so both of them in the hunt for a playoff spot. In terms of the Cowboys and Chiefs, Cowboys, they're second in the NFC East. It's going to take, an Eagles fall off and them to really keep pushing to try and win the NFC East, but they're still in a hunt for a playoff spot. And mind you, might I add, is that Patrick Mahomes went crazy, and the defense, the Chiefs' defense, is just what's really selling for them. And the fact they don't have like a star running back, I think, is also an element there. And for the Bengals and Ravens, it's a weird world where the Bengals can still make the playoffs. They're 4-8. And they're only 2 games behind the Ravens and Steelers. Ravens and Steelers are both 6-6 now. And Ravens, I believe, are currently second in the AFC North. I don't know if they get a boost. I don't know if they have the tiebreaker. They might have the tiebreaker. We're going to look in a second at that. But it's either Steelers or Ravens are currently at the top. So Bengals going to need to win 3 more than either the Ravens or Steelers if they want to make the playoffs. But then, usually the biggest shocker of the entire weekend, Friday night, Black Friday football. It was actually midday. It was like 2 o'clock. Bears defeat the Eagles 24-15 in just what a game. What a game. The Bears are 9-3, and the Bears are tied for first in the NFC North. And as of right now, I believe since they have won and the Rams have lost, and I believe point differential-wise or there's some tiebreaker or something, the Bears are actually the number 1 seed in the NFC. I kid you not. And for the Eagles, I mean, this is 2 straight losses. 2 straight losses where they just haven't looked like themselves. They're now 8-4, and they've got to be careful because the Cowboys are gaining on them. And if the Cowboys pass them, Eagles are done for. So we're seeing some cracks in this dominant Eagles team, the reigning defending champions. So we'll see if they can rebound. But in terms of that game, they were ran over. DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai ran all over them. Talk about a combined 255 yards. Yeah, you want to know how much Saquon Barkley had? 56. Yeah. A.J. Brown was a stud, 10 catches, 132 yards, and 2 touchdowns, but that wasn't enough. So, Eagles, still the leader of the NFC East, still in the playoffs. I think we can all assume they'll make the playoffs. But the Bears are currently the number 1 team in the NFC. Who would have thought? Jumping into our matchups on Sunday, which was today, 49ers defeat the Browns 26-8 to no one's surprise. No one was really surprised by that. 49ers move up to 9-4, and, I'll be curious to see how they do. They do have 1 less loss than the Rams and Seahawks somehow. I don't understand that. If there's a bye week coming up for the Rams and Seahawks that I'm just unaware of. But, yeah, 49ers did what they had to do. They obviously faced the Browns team where Shador was doing good, and then he got hurt. Dylan Gabriel came in, and it was pretty much just Quashon Judkins trying to do anything he could. But, yeah, Browns are 3-9. They're bad. Browns suck. They're just not good. Browns are not good, and as for 49ers, they're in the hunt for the playoffs. 9 wins on the year. Can't beat that. No. Actually, I think they might have 8 wins. I'm trying to. Oh gosh, I can never remember. No, they have 9. They're 9-4 if I'm thinking correctly. It's the Browns that are in desperate need of some help because it is yet another year the Browns suck. It is just a recurring thing with that franchise. Same goes for the Titans, who lose 25-3 to the Jaguars. I'm not really surprised by this, but just crazy how awful the Titans are. Again, they're 1-11. They're actually 0-7 at home. They're on a 7-game losing streak. And they looked really bad here. I mean, they had some glimpses of hope last week, but this week they looked atrocious. And for the Jaguars, 3 straight wins, 8-4. Currently have passed the Colts for being the top team in the AFC South, if you really want to know that, which I find just utterly insane. And I believe right now they're the number 3 seed in the AFC, which is just nuts. Just absolutely nuts. So, Jaguars, good work with them. Breakout game for Jacoby Myers and T-Law. Looked like $1 million. Next up, Texans beat the Colts, and we're seeing a fall-off with the Colts here. Similar to the Eagles, 2 straight losses. Texans are now 7-5. They've won 4 straight, and this Texans team is looking to sneak into the playoffs. They're not there yet. They're on the bubble, but they're going to do everything they can to try and get into the playoffs. So we'll see if they can do it. All I know is the Colts are currently in, but they're failing. They're falling, and after being the top team in the AFC, tied with the Patriots and Broncos, they are now not. They are far from it, as they're now 8-4. Dolphins defeat the Saints 21-17. Much needed win. Much needed win here for the Dolphins. Keep a little morale for them. And 5-7, 3 straight wins. They're not out. They are not out at all. They're on the bubble. They are not completely out of it. We'll be mentioning every single team in a second. But, good win this week. It really was. I'll say A-Chain was a stud as usual. He had 134 yards on the ground for a touchdown. No catches, though. Just keeping it on the ground. Tua looked about as average as could be, and Tyler Shuck needs to go. I'm going to be honest. The Saints need to change something up. All right, I will say that outright. The Saints need to change something up because they are 2-10. All right, and they're like the Titans. They had no improvement. All right, they deprogressed. They deprogressed. All right, they are not progressing. They're deprogressing heading into this, end of the year. So Saints, work out what you need to, but you're eliminated. They are so bad, so bad. Big upset as well. The Jets knock off the Falcons, and just crazy. This Falcons team should not be losing. They have the tools. They can do it. Maybe it's their defense. I don't know, but the Falcons fall to 4-8. Their playoff hopes aren't eliminated, but they would have to win the last 5 straight games and hope that the Buccaneers and Panthers lose, which is not looking like the case. Now, as for the Jets, they're just playing spoiler. And I think they're having fun with it. 3-9, fun win for them in this one. Let me just say, Breece Hall is amazing. 15.6 fantasy points. Thank you very much. Also want to shout out Tyrod Taylor. 172 yards and a touchdown, and he found his favorite target, which ended up being Adonai Mitchell. Adonai Mitchell, is he a rookie? I don't know. I always think of Mitchell. Was Adonai Mitchell on the Colts? I think he was. But so, he had a great game, 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown, and Jets spoil the Falcons. I thought this was a layup for the Falcons. I was mistaken. I'll also tell you what I also thought was going to be a layup. That's the Rams and the Panthers, as the Panthers knock off the Rams. Wow, this Panthers team, they're legit. Their defense is really good. I mean, this Panthers defense is better than it's been the last couple of years. Now, I will say they've gotten in some shootouts. They've given up a lot of points, but they're still hanging in there. They're 7-6. They're right in the mix with the Buccaneers, and I'm happy to, see how their year plays out for them. Bryce Young looked good. Chuba Hubbard showed that he can still be the stud. He actually outpaced Rico Dowdle on the day. And guess who caught the game-winning touchdown? It was Ted McMillan. Just one of the better rookie pickups for the year. And how about that? Bryce Young, what's he in? Year 4 or 5, and he's finally breaking out. Better late than never. For the Rams, this is just not a loss that you needed because you could have really locked in that number 1 spot with a 10-win season, but now they're 9-3, and the Bears have passed them, which is just ridiculous. So Rams, they're still a top dog, but also they're 9-3. The Seahawks are 9-3, and the 49ers are 9-4. So the division is wide open right now. Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, all with 9 wins. So we'll be interested to see how it wraps up. But Panthers, 1 game. I wouldn't even say 1 game. They're like 0.5 games back or something since they only have one. They have 1 more loss than the Buccaneers, but they have the same number of wins. So Panthers are looking to get in the playoff picture. They just need to pass the Bucs, which is what they will attempt to do as the year winds down. Final 4 games that have wrapped up currently: Cardinals and Buccaneers. Buccaneers escape with a victory to maintain that NFC South spot and also the number 4 seed in the playoff picture. Was it pretty? No, 20-17. They get it done, and they almost lose it as there's a little late game comeback from the Cardinals. But I just got to shout out Jacoby Brissett, man. Just such a good backup. Always love watching him play ball. He is so fun to watch. Trey McBride, 22 fantasy points. He was a stud. Bucky Irvin finally getting back in the mix. He had 16 fantasy points. And Chris Godwin Jr. is also back. He dropped a really bad touchdown, early in the game. He was literally in his hands wide open, and he just dropped it. But did what he had to do, gets it done. And as for the Cardinals, they're 3-9, 4th straight loss. Yet again, they're like the Saints. They're like the Titans. They have not progressed, and I don't know what to do. It kind of hurts me that 2 of the best tight ends in the league, Brock Bowers and Trey McBride, are on just gosh-awful teams. So Buccaneers, they need to win if they want to make the playoffs, and Cardinals, just try and play spoiler to anyone else around you. My Minnesota Vikings put on the worst performance of the entire week as they lose 26-0. Now, funny enough, I actually had the Seahawks defense, which had 28 fantasy points. I'm not mad about that at all, but I will say one thing and one thing only, and that's that Max Brosmer is not that good of a quarterback. I'm sorry. I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say that about Brosmer, but he had -3 fantasy points. Okay? I've never really seen that before, a quarterback getting -3 fantasy points, but he managed to. So if anything, kudos to him for doing stuff that we've never seen before. This was utterly atrocious. This was embarrassing. He throws 4 picks. The Vikings fumble. I mean, Seahawks just destroyed us. I mean, I'm trying to think. There were so many sacks. There's this 85-yard pick 6, which was just abysmal. And I'll say out of the 4 picks, too, 3 were his fault. Like, the 4th one, actually was the 3rd one that had happened. It was bobbled by the wide receiver. I think JJ might have lost it. But the other 3 were just thrown to just awful throws, just not it. So, man, I guess we got to put JJ McCarthy back in. Vikings somehow are not out of the playoff race, if you believe that. They're 4-8 with 4 straight losses and somehow can still make the playoffs if they win out. No idea how that logic could work. They would have to win out if they ever wanted a chance. But, yeah, just an awful performance from the Vikings. But as I was saying for the Seahawks, they're 9-3 in the mix in the NFC West. And they're only, I think there's a tiebreaker. The tiebreaker's held by the Rams. So they're going to need to outpace the Rams, or at least beat the Rams if they haven't beaten them already. So no more about the Vikings. Such a bad season for us. Then Chargers and Raiders. Brock Bowers, 22 fantasy points. Like I said, love Brock Bowers, but the Raiders are just so bad. The Raiders suck so bad. 31-14, the Chargers just hand it to them. Really do. So props to the Chargers. Really am. Props to the Chargers. They're 7-4. It's hard when you have the Broncos in your conference. It's hard when you're not conference, in your division. Hard when you have the Chiefs. But with the Chiefs continuously losing, I mean, this is a benefit to the Chargers. Chargers are on the bubble still. They're still working to get in. But I believe they're still, maybe on a 5th seed. I'll have to check in a second. But, yeah, good work for them so far, and they bounced back from that loss that they had coming into their bye week. Now, as for the Raiders, they are 2-10. They've lost 6 straight. And Geno Smith, they definitely need to do something, because Geno Smith is not good. The defense is just not good. And Ashton Genty and Brock Bowers can only do so much when the team is not good. But, hey, what are you going to do? I like Ashton Genty. I like Brock Bowers. I actually don't even hate Geno Smith. But poor Raiders. You have a beautiful stadium and a terrible team. Then the last 3:30 matchup that I have to talk to you about is the Bills beating the Steelers and heading into halftime, guys, 7-3. I mean, Bills were shut out in the first half. It was looking like the Steelers were going to run away. Steelers were looking good. And then a utter and complete collapse from the Steelers has now resulted in the Ravens passing them for control of the AFC North. I mean, what? 6-6 record now. Just an awful performance. Now, as for the Bills, much needed win. I mean, 7-4 now. Actually, I think they're 8-4. 8-4 with this win for the Bills. Now, it's still going to take a lot. It's still going to take a lot to really lock in a playoff spot. I believe they may be holding the 7th spot here with the fact you have the Patriots in your division. But, yeah, doing what you need to do. Josh Allen is dangerous, and the defense looked so good in the second half. They had a 17-yard fumble recovery. They were forcing fumbles. They were picking off Mason Rudolph. I mean, they were looking good all the ways around. So, good stuff all around. Josh Allen, not his best game. I mean, he only had 16 fantasy points, which was opposed to him. He's usually dropping 30, 40. So, good win for the Bills. They get it done. And for the Steelers, they're just mediocre. And honestly, Aaron Rodgers hurt himself, and they just didn't even look like they wanted to be there. They looked like they were being forced to play and that it was a chore to be out there playing against the Bills. But with our current NFL playoff picture, got it pulled up here on NFL.com. In the hunt. If the season ended today, these teams would be in these spots in the playoffs. So for the AFC, the Patriots, 10-2, number 1 seed. But I think it's been 10 straight wins, or maybe 6 straight wins. It's been ridiculous. And yeah, they're easily the number 1 team, and they will play the Giants on Monday Night Football to look to move to the first 11-win team this season. Coming in at the number 2 spot in the AFC is going to be the Broncos. Broncos are 9-2. I'm going to be playing the Commanders up here on Sunday Night Football, and I like their odds to win that game. So I think it's going to be a duel between the Broncos and Patriots, just seeing who can keep up with who, because Colts have dropped out of the race. Colts are not one of the top teams in the AFC. It's the Pats or the Broncos this year, And this is the part of the year where you just can't fall off because you've been doing so good. 9-2 for the Broncos. And if you fade off here, you're not going to make it. Now, I think they're going to make the playoffs, but in terms of having that number one seed, it's crucial. It's crucial. They would end up be playing the Bills, who are ranked at number 7, which is not a favorable matchup, if you ask me. Bills are in at the number 7 spot. They have a 91% playoff probability right now. And yeah, they're going to look to hold on to it. Big win over Pittsburgh. Did what they had to do. Good stuff. Coming in at number 3, the Jaguars. Yeah, AFC South is going through a weird little thing here where the Colts, I thought, had the division on lock, and then they lost to the Texans. Texans are now on the bubble, and the Jags are the 3 seed in the AFC. Makes no sense. They would be matched up with the Colts right now, who are in at the number 6 spot. And as of right now, their playoff probability has dropped to 69%. They've dropped 3 spots in the projections. And yeah, it's really tough. And might I add, on the bubble teams, Texans are the number 8 spot right now. So they have a 62% playoff probability. It's really funny that the Texans, Colts, and Jaguars are all going to be battling for a playoff spot. At number 4, we have the Ravens. Ravens did pass the Steelers despite both of them losing. I mean, AFC North is just abysmal this year. What I would love to see is maybe the Steelers making the playoffs. You know, that's always fun. But what about the Bengals? Bengals have a 2% chance to make the playoffs. Isn't that nuts? I really do find that crazy. So if Joe Shiesty can win out, beat every single team, they would make the playoffs, which would be very fun. Very, very fun. But yeah, Ravens would be matched up with right now the number 5 seed Chargers. Chargers looking good. AFC West, it's tough when you have the Broncos in your division, but what you going to do? They would be matched up with the Ravens, which would be a fun game. And honestly, I favor the Chargers in that matchup. In terms of where else we're seeing here, Chiefs are currently the number 10 spot on the bubble. They have a 36% playoff probability with 5 weeks to go. They're not even at a 50% playoff probability. And then we have a couple little teams here. Dolphins have an under 1% chance. All right, they're 5-7. They're going to need to win out, need some teams to lose. And the Jets, being 3-9, and the Browns being 3-9, are still not eliminated from playoff probability. They could still make it somehow with an 8-9 record. So, good for them, I guess. Now, in terms of eliminated teams, Titans at 1-11 and Raiders at 2-10. You guys will not be making the playoffs. Literally, everyone could lose, they could win, and win by 50 points every game. Yeah, you're not making the playoffs. Just hilarious. So, we'll look at this every single week moving forward. After I'm done with this week, my week should be a bit more lighter. I'm working 7 straight days. That's the end of my grind time. I get next Monday off. And then I work 4 days, and then I get the rest of the year off. So, not too bad, just working. Now, in terms of the NFC, the Bears are the number 1 team already. And oddly enough, they have a 76% current playoff probability. The number 1 seeded team has a 76% current playoff probability. Now, you may ask why. Well, that's because you got the Packers and Lions hot on their tail, and the Packers are right hot on their tail. They'll actually play in Week 14 for control of the NFC North. Love it. Number 2 is the Rams. They do drop down from number 1, and if they were to go to the playoffs, they would be matched up with the 7th seed 49ers. And I might just throw in there that number 5 seed is the Seahawks. So NFC South is not the NFC South. The NFC West is looking good. You know, Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers all have over 90% playoff probabilities. If we were to matchmake elsewhere, of course, Eagles are at the number 3 spot, but you got to be careful. You really do. Cowboys are on there at number 9. They're looking to catch up. Lo and behold, the Commanders still have a under 1% chance to make the playoffs. It's still not impossible. Same for the Vikings. The Vikings have they still have a under 1% playoff probability, but it's not 0, might I add. Same for the Falcons, who are 4-8, and for the Panthers, who are 7-6. But the Panthers, you know, they're currently at number 10, but I might add the Buccaneers, they have an 86% playoff probability. I do not feel confident in that. You know, I really love the Panthers' odds to jump them, land at the 4 seed, and make a run in the playoffs, if anything. So we'll see where everyone gets shuffled around, but Packers would currently be matched up with the Eagles in the playoffs. I like that for the Packers, personally. And yeah, 49ers and Rams would be matching up there. Lions are currently at that number 8 spot, right on the bubble. They just need to win. Okay, they have suffered 5 defeats, only have 7 victories. I think it kind of has everyone confused because we know how good this team is, and they're just kind of declining, if you ask me. Cowboys are at the 9. I don't know. don't know them. They're 6-5-1. They're such an awkward team. They really are. You know, we've seen them go out, beat the Eagles, beat the Chiefs. Something tells me whoever they play next week, they're going to lose to. That's just the vibe I get. So, 5-week stretch to end the year. Who will make the playoffs? There are still 7 available playoff spots. No one is able to clinch just yet, but of all the eliminated teams, we also have the Giants, Saints, and Cardinals in the NFC. So 5 of the 32 teams have been eliminated, and we still have 14 playoff spots to hand out. So we shall see what takes place, but there's a little recap of NFL Week 13 and also the current spots for the playoffs. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about with you guys all today on this episode is what we're ending the year with for the UFC, because I think it's a good way to end the year. You know, I'll say Apex events kind of kill me, but by the looks of it, we're straying away from Apex events in 2026. That is coming up. At least I'm hoping so. But with what I currently have here, UFC 323 is going down December 6th, and we have a number of fun matchups going down on this card. Muhammad Naimov and Myron Santos will be opening up the prelims. Myron Santos, I believe he won the Ultimate Fighter, or if he didn't win the Ultimate Fighter, he was on it, and actually I think he beat Khan Offley to win it, I think it was. But other than that, he went 2-0 in 2025. Francis Marshall, Sodiq Yusuff, both decisions, and he gets a guy here, Muhammad Naimov, who's a tough competitor. He's on a little 2-fight winning streak. Only loss since 2023 is to Felipe Lima in the UFC. And actually, he hasn't lost in the UFC. His Dana White's Contender Series loss was in 2020. So there's a fun little prelim matchup. Mansour Dumalik and Antonio Tricoli is a layup to try and get Mansour a cool knockout. Iwo Baranowski is the latest to come from Season 9 of Dana White's Contender Series as he debuts against Ibo Aslan. And Ibo's coming in off a 20-second knockout in September. So that's pretty nuts. As for Ibo Aslan, he hasn't fought since July, and after being what most people thought was going to be the highest prospect for the light heavyweight division, he has since faded and has lost 2 straight. Also, 4th fight in on the prelims, Edson Barbosa and Jalen Turner. Yeah, that's how you know this card is loaded. We thought these guys were going to be retiring, but no, they're not done just yet. Marvin Vettori and Bruno Ferreira is also on the prelims here. Marvin Vettori is in desperate need of a win. He hasn't won since March of 2023. And as for Bruno Ferreira, he's been trying everything to break into the rankings. You know, it's like he's looking good, then he gets knocked down. Oh, then he's looking good, then he gets submitted. So he's also 14-2 and has never been the distance. Then my favorite fight on this entire card, it's on the prelims, it's the lightweight division. It's Nazim the Black Wolf Sadiqov and Fairs the Smile Killer Ziam. This is going to be amazing. I'm telling you guys, this is going to be phenomenal. Nazim Sadiqov is currently 4-0 with a draw in the UFC. He has 3 fight of the nights and is currently coming off of one of my favorite fights of the year against Nicholas Moda. He's also finished all his opponents in the UFC that he's won, and his only loss was a fight of the night decision to Vyacheslav Borsov, which was a draw, so not even a loss there. He's won 11 straight victories, and he trains with Aljamain Sterling and Merab Dvalishvili. His opponent, Fairs Ziam. After getting submitted by Terrence McKinney in round 1 in February of 2022, he never looked back and has improved over and over and over again. And his knockout of Matt Frivola to end out 2024 was fantastic. He's only had one fight, unfortunately, this year in Saudi Arabia, but he did dominate Mike Davis there. And now he gets a test against Nazim Sadiqov. And whoever wins this will be heading towards a ranking spot. Then, top 10 women's flyweight action as Macy Barber looks to actually make it to an octagon here. Holy cow, she takes on Karine Silva. This is the number 5 and number 8 ranked women, actually number 9 ranked women in the women's flyweight division. Macy Barber was supposed to main event against Erin Blanchfield, and right before walkouts was like passed out or wasn't medically cleared. It was so weird. No idea what to make of it. And as for Karine Silva, I mean, she had been coming in on an incredible run before she was fraud checked by Viviane Araújo to end out 2024. She picked up a regular decision over Dione Barbosa in August and now looks to end the year, jumping into the top 5. Then the last 2 prelims, both lightweight division, both phenomenal. Terrence McKinney, love him to death, 17-7. He has never been the distance, and he actually hasn't been out of round 1 since 2023. Crazy enough. Currently coming in off a 55-second guillotine choke over Vyacheslav Borsov in June, and he's been looking good. Unfortunately, he is taking on Chris Duncan, who is on a 3-fight winning streak. He's also coming in 5-1 in the UFC. And he's been looking good, man. Coming off a fight of the night against Matus Rebecca in the Apex in August, and he looked dang good. I don't even know who to pick for this. I'm going to be honest. I don't even want to choose because McKinney and Duncan both look good. But right now, might be leaning with McKinney since he's an underdog. Then the final prelim, it is one of the most perplexing matchups I've seen as Grant Dawson is taking on Manuel Torres here. And Grant Dawson, I believe, is ranked. They got him at number 13 in the lightweight rankings. And he's a minus 210 favorite against the plus 170 Manuel Torres, which, might I add you, Manuel Torres has finished all his opponents in the UFC in round one. His only loss is to Ignacio Bahamondes, who is currently ranked at number 15. That was back in September of 2024. His lone win of the year in March was over Drew Dober, who he knocked out in 1 minute and 45 seconds. He's taking on Grant Dawson, who's on a 3-fight winning streak. And we've noticed one thing with Grant Dawson. His weakness is lanky strikers such as King Green. And look at Manuel Torres. He's literally a recipe for disaster for Grant Dawson. So you're either going to see Manuel get taken down and drowned in grappling, or Grant Dawson's going to get knocked down. What's my prediction? Grant Dawson is going to get knocked out. Then we get into the main card here, the final pay-per-view main card of the ESPN era. Jan Blachowicz and Bogdan Guskov in the light heavyweight division. This is the 5-11. This is a massive matchup. The winner of this is going to be in title shot talk. All right? Jan Blachowicz hasn't fought since March when he lost to Carlos Ulberg, and he's actually only fought once in the last 2.5 years. Crazy enough. As for Bogdan Guskov, he's had himself a good year. 2 wins, 2 fights, and both of them finishes. And he recently knocked out Nikita Krylov in July in dominant fashion. So probably going to lean with Bogdan Guskov there, but we'll see if Jan Blachowicz, who at 42 years old, is still looking to make a run. Then one of the most random matchups I think I've seen me made all year. Henry Cejudo just taking on Peyton Talbot. I mean, what? Like, legit, what? Henry Cejudo, by the way, is still ranked at number 10 in the men's bantamweight division. Last time he won a fight was 2020. Funny enough, he's fought once every year since 2023. Lost to Aljamain Sterling, lost to Merab Dvalishvili, and lost to Song Yadong. He then looks to end his probably career by beating Peyton Talbot here, and we'll see if Peyton can bounce back. He, of course, suffered a brutal defeat to Raoni Barcelos in the year, and then bounced back to the win over Felipe Lima, and they've decided that's enough to give the 26-year-old with a 10-1 record, Henry Cejudo. Yeah, I'm thinking Henry grapples him. Might be a bit boring. We'll have to see, but very interested to see where they go with this. Then, flyweight division is on display, not just here, but also on the final card of 2025. Brandon Moreno takes on Tatsuro Taira. This is a 2-5 matchup in the flyweight division, and the winner of this is probably taking on the winner of the next fight we're going to discuss. So, Tatsuro Taira, 17-1. He was able to pick up a dominant win over Hyun-Sung Park in August, just grappled him and destroyed him, essentially. And as for Brandon Moreno, picked up a win over Steve Erceg. He's on a little 2-fight winning streak. So we'll see how this one goes. I think a best for business and who I want to win more is Tatsuro Taira. But Brandon Moreno is just such a tough competitor. It's I'm gonna need to do a little analysis before I drop my official predictions later in the week. Then the co-main event, Alexander Pantoja, the reigning defending champion. He's currently ranked at number 5 pound for pound in the world, going for his 5th title defense. Takes on the 24-year-old Joshua Van. 5 wins. Currently has probably the fight of the year against Brandon Royval, and he's getting a title shot. Love it. Absolutely love it, Van. Like, such a dog. Really such a dog, and it takes that to get this. He's the number 1 contender at 24 years old. He's a year older than me, and he's fighting for a belt. And actually, fun fact, for 6 days in October, we're the same age, so look at that. I am picking Pantoja to defeat Joshua Van. It would legit be a miracle if Joshua Van won. And he has the skills. He has the striking. It's just a matter of if he has the grappling. Because as we've seen with Pantoja, if he's not beating you on the feet, he'll take you down and submit you. His last 2 wins, both rear naked chokehold. So we'll see what happens there. And then the main event, a rematch, which we didn't think we'd be getting this soon, if I'm being honest. Petr Yan and Merab Dvalishvili. Merab's currently the number 3 pound for pound fighter on the planet and is going in here for his 4th title defense of the year. That is right. Merab is looking to do what even Pereira didn't do last year, and that's defend his belt 4 times in 1 year. And he's already fighter of the year, and I've been kind of thinking about this. Even if he loses, I still think I have to give him credit for winning 3 title fights during the year. Now, obviously, this might bring up more conversations about Ito Pura or Islam Makhachev, but with what I'm seeing here, I'm thinking Merab can defeat Petr Yan. And Petr Yan has 1 win this year. It's over Marcus McGee. Did what he had to do. It wasn't the most impressive, though. I'll say that. I just want to throw that out there. He also lost round 1 to Marcus McGee. Want to throw that out there just to, let you simmer on it. But other than that, he's beaten Song Yadong and Davison Figueiredo in 2024, and he has earned a rematch. I do got Merab drowning him out, though, and taking him out. So I'll actually give my full preview and predictions for this card coming on the episode later in the week. But yeah, for now, probably leaning with Merab Dvalishvili. And then the final event of the year will be UFC Fight Night Royval versus Manel Kape, and that is going to be your number 3 and number 6 flyweights in the division. Number of fights here that we've seen confirmed. I mean, there's a lot more that they got on the tap. I mean, they got Neil Magny taking on the debuting, I think it's Yaroslav Amaslav. I mean, this dude's like 28-1, former Bellator PFL champion. It's going to be good. A couple fights on here that they do have confirmed on UFCstats.com. Cesar Almeida finally back. This dude pulls up, has the best knockout of the year on the first card of the year, then just doesn't fight the rest of the year. And who's he taking on now? The debuting Cezary Olakajasek, the younger brother of Michael Olakajasek, who had a 30-second knockout on Dana White's Contender Series Season 9. So another Season 9er from Dana White's Contender Series getting a fight. I love to see it. Then Melquizael Costa looks to get his 4th win of the year after stacking up 3 between February and May. Just didn't fight the rest of the year. He'll be taking on Morgan Cherie, who was coming off of a amazing fight against Nate Landwehr in Nashville. So entertaining. And when he knocked him out in the early stages of round 3, it was so entertaining. We also have Joe Anderson Brito looking to bounce back from his defeat to Pat Sabatini as he takes on Melsik Bagdasarian, who's looking to bounce back from his defeat to Gene Silva. Love that matchup. Heavyweight action as Kenny Nchukwu and Marcus Buchechka go to war. Kennedy, of course, had his ankle snatched by Walter Walker in July, and Marcus Buchechka put on one of the most boring performances I've seen against Martin Buday. The performance was so bad they cut Buday for some reason, but Buchechka gets another shot. Buchechka's going to look to bring us to the ground. Kenny's looking to keep this on the feet. We'll see who wins. What I presume will be the co-main event, Giga Chikadze and Kevin Vallejos. Giga's ranked at number 15 in the featherweight division and hasn't fought since April of 2025 when David Onama defeated him. He is on a 2-fight losing streak. As for Kevin Vallejos, 2-0 in 2025. 3-minute knockout over Songwoo Choi and knocked off Danny Silva in August. So probably get a ride with Kevin Vallejos in that one, but that's still going to be a fun matchup. Then a couple women's matchups here, Melissa Croden and Luiana Santos. There's always potential that they break through in the women's bantamweight division. Amanda Lemos and Jillian Robertson is oddly a high-level matchup. The number 5 and number 10 in the women's strawweight division go to battle, and Jillian Robertson looks to extend her winning streak to 5. And then you also have Jamie Lynn Horth and Teresa Bleda, which I presume will open the card, is somehow listed as the co-main event right now. That is just incorrect. And then, yes, the final fight of the ESPN era of 2025 will be Brandon Royval and Manel Kape. And Manel is currently coming off a main event win over Asuma Bayev. Knocked him out pretty cool enough. And for Brandon Royval, lost the fight of the night to Joshua Van. What you gonna do? But yeah, we'll be breaking down all of these cards. Those are just all the final fights that we're getting for the year. And I know they're squeezing some more on that UFC Vegas 112 card. I do believe that UFC 323 is all set up, though. So no need to wonder if there's any more fights being put on that. But that's all I have. Ladies and gentlemen, lots of big news. UFC 324, Survivor Series wrapping up, the playoff race for the NFL going down. So it's an exciting time of the year. Like I said, I'm working 7 days a week. I'm working freaking Monday to Sunday. And then after that, I have Monday off. Then I have a little 4-day break. And then I get the rest of the year off. So grinding this out to then enjoy the rest of my December. Is it going to suck? Maybe. But I'm going to attack it with perseverance and enthusiasm because that's all you can really do. So I'll try and record episode, I don't even know what episode we're on now, but whatever our preview episode of UFC 323 is, that'll probably be recorded, I'm thinking Wednesday or Tuesday. Whichever one I'm feeling more, worst case scenario, Thursday. But we will have that out ahead of UFC 323. And I just hope everyone knows that you can do anything you put your mind to. I know right now I'm kind of stuck in this, joining the corporate world and seeing if I like it or not. But The one thing I know is that if you're not earning, you need to be learning. Right now I am earning and I am learning. So if I can learn to sell Medicare Advantage plans, I can sell pretty much anything, including selling myself. So that's all I got, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you all have an amazing week. And next time I check in, you'll have to see my official predictions for UFC 323, because who knows? Maybe I'll switch it up. Maybe I'll go with Joshua Van and Petr dethroning the champs. Wouldn't that be something? That would be a crazy way to usher in the new year. But ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a good one, and I'll catch you next time on the Surprise Jab Podcast.